Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video, what I'll be going through is with UIs, especially it's a common UI plugin that is available in the Unreal Engine from 5.0, and it actually provides us with a lot of solutions that we face during the development, such as moving between keyboard and controller support that we were already trying to achieve, and also layering of UIs one on top of the other in layers. So let's say we are in the game pause menu and we open up the settings menu, so it has to go to the settings layer, and then if I'm to close the setting layer, it will go back to game menu, and so on and so forth. And they have to be really um well made, right? So that they are smooth in transition and looks like a AAA quality. So all of these can be achieved using the common UI, and that's why I think it's a very good concept for us to learn before we move on to the next part of the inventory UI and stuff like that. Okay, so let us get started. Uh, the first thing before I move to the common UI is I would like to actually change this settings over here in the platforms Windows SM6. Now this will ask me to restart. Now since I have restarted the engine, the first thing I would have to do is actually enable the plugin itself, the common UI, and we'll have to restart again. And this is in beta, which is fine. Just check it in and then restart again. And once that is done, um, the first thing that we'll have to do is go to project settings and come to engine and general settings over here. And over here, we need to change the game viewport client class. We'll have to change it to the common game viewport client. And this is the last time we would have to restart. Okay. So let's go. Okay, so once it has restarted, we'll have to create an input action data table. Okay, so into the HOV folder, I'll create a new folder and call this common UI. And over here, right click, miscellaneous, and go to the common UI input action data table. Okay, now data table, I'll call this um, action data piece, and I'll call this HOR. And if you open it up, we can add new rows, and you can see it has all the common input stuff for the keyboard, the gamepad, and also gamepad input overrides. Now this is for platform specific ones, like let's say you have the PS4 or PS5 controller or the Switch controllers. You want to override those over here. Now this is something for the future. For now, we'll just do the default keyboard and controller. Okay. So the first thing that I want to have is the back button. So this is for navigation back. So this is for menu. Okay. And I'll create another one, and this one I'll rename, and this one will be navigation select, and I'll create another one. This one will be for interact. Okay. Now navigation back. Now by default, the Lyra projects have it as 255 for the back one. I don't know why exactly. I haven't tested it out either, so I'll just keep it for the back one as 255. So I mean that's basically 255 as in like from 0 to 255. That is 256 integer values. So that's the range. I know that, but um, why does it have to have a priority and for what? I'm not so sure. I'll get back to this in the future. Okay. And for now, I'll just name these return. And for the select, I'll call it as select. And for interact, it can be interact. Okay. So for navigation back, um, it will be the escape. And for the gamepad, it will be the face right. That is the B button. Okay. For select, it will be the enter. And for this, it will be the face bottom. That is the A key. And again, for this interact, for keyboard, it will be E. And for this one, it will be the bottom button again, right? So we'll not override the brush over here. Okay. You can overwrite it, but there's no point for me to do it over here. So I'll create a new folder over here, and this is the data table. I'll move it here. And once that is done, also I'm referencing the Unreal Engine documentation for the common UI quick start. Okay. I'll also have this linked in my description. Okay. So once that is done, the next thing for us is to go ahead with the navigation action setup. So that would be in the blueprint class. Over here, we want to call in the common UI input data, and I'll call this BP input um, data, and this will be for horror. Okay. Now over here, we have the click action and the back action that we just set up. So select, and this one is the navigation back. For the back, hold, we don't need to set it up right now. I'll come back to that later as well. Okay. And once this is done, let's go to the project settings. In the common input settings, we'll set up the PPID horror that we have. And now if you look over here in the Windows platform, we have the default one, that is our mouse and keyboard. Supports mouse and keyboard. We don't need to support touch. We need to support gamepad. Default gamepad name. Can change gamepad type, controller data. We need the keyboard data and the controller data. I'll come here in a few minutes, and allow out of focus device input. Set it true. This one we don't need it right now. I'll come back to this one later on as well. Have it unchecked for now, and that is it. That's done. Now let's go back, and we'll create another blueprint class, and this time it would be the common input base controller data, and I'll call this BP underscore base controller data. One would be for the keyboard, and the other one would be for the controller itself. Okay. Now for the controller, make sure it's gamepad over here, and now it requires a gamepad name, that is the generic. Okay. Now this name, gamepad name generic, and in the project settings over here, default gamepad name has to be the same. Okay. So generic, only then your controller would work, otherwise it would not. Okay. So make sure of that. And over here, since I have the controller opened, we have the input brush data maps that we can actually like have right now for the back, select, and interact. And obviously we need the images for that. So I already have those made. Okay. And I'll have these uploaded for my patrons, and others can use it from Lyra project. Okay. Download the Lyra, and over there you will find all the textures for the controller and keyboards. Okay. So you can directly go ahead and use from there. Okay. um, and my for my patrons, we'll have these assets ready to download. Once you download them, you can, I'll create a folder first. So controller, keyboard, and this is the mouse. Okay. So the first one is the controller. So drag and drop the controllers first. Then we'll go for the keyboard, drag and drop, and then finally the mouse. So that's all. So once you have selected all of these, sorry, imported all of these into the folder, uh, I need the A and the B from the controller. So I'll open them and change the texture group to UI for both A and B. Okay. And now once that is done, for the keyboard, we need the E key, the enter key, and the escape key. So change them to UI. I'll save all. And in the controller again, make 3 of them. So one is the face right, that is the back. Okay. Now for that I have it as the B, right. Okay. Image. Okay. So this you'll have to find it for yourself, which is the proper size for yours. Mine are about 1920 into 1080, so I'll have them as the default 1920 into 1080. Okay. uh, and then is the face. What bottom is again A, and then the size is 1920 into 1080. If you're using the Lyra ones, I don't think you need to actually change them to 1920. You can have them as 50/50. Okay. So again, bottom, that is the A, and the image size 1920 into 1080. Now compile, save. So all 3 of them have been set, bottom, and right. That is for the controller. And for the keyboard, again 3 of them. Now let's go to the assets folder, keyboard. We'll start off with the E. Now keyboard brush, there we go. Image size same, 1920 into 1080. Then we have the escape, and that is this one. Image size 1920 into 1080. And finally the last one is the enter, and there we go, 1920 into 1080. Compile, and as you can see, it refreshed itself. The enter is first, then escape, then E. Okay. So select, then back, then interact. Okay. So which is good. Now this is done. We'll have to go back to the project settings, common input settings, and add the keyboard and the controller. Okay. And again, make sure that this generic and this one is the same. Okay. Otherwise your controller will not work. Now once that is done, let me play. Oh, actually, yeah, for that, let's open up our door. mm, Go to the widget, and we can actually remove the image. Also we have this function, also delete that. So I'll delete this image, and then I'll delete the function itself. Don't need it. And over here under common UI plugin, you have the common action widget. We'll put it to fill and above the progress bar. Okay. So once you compile, now on the details panel, if you see under common action widget, you have the input actions down below. And over here, you can actually get the data table and set the interact or whatever you want it to showcase like that. So now if I play and go in front, as you can see, it actually showcases um, the key, but as you can see, it's not properly set up. That's because, like I told you before, we have it as 1920 into 1080 for our image. So obviously 10 into 10 is not going to cut it. So make it 1920 into 1080, 1920 into 1080. Now this will cause another issue, which is it's huge, right? So now this is tested by me. So this is 0.5 and 0.1. So that is what you would require if you're using mine. If you're using the Lyra ones, I don't think you need to change them, but you'll have to play with it. Okay. So as you can see, it's the keyboard's working. It's E. Now, if you actually plug in your controller, it will work as well. I don't actually have an Xbox controller, so I cannot test it out uh, with you guys. I have a PS5 one, so I'll have to actually like make a separate video of raw inputs and how to enable PS controllers before I can actually use mine. Okay, so now that is the uh, overall general um, setup of the common UI. Okay, uh, you are free to move to the next lecture, but those who want to actually like stay for the horror course and follow up with the pickup for the uh, base pickups as well. Like, yeah, I'll just fix these issues as well. So over here, these are the base pickups. They don't show, they don't have the widget in itself. Okay. Okay, so for this base pickup, we have the base interaction, end interaction, begin pickup, end pickup. Mm, okay, we have the BP. Okay, this is the inventory item. So our base pickups are separate. Okay, so yeah, now we need to actually add in the widget, the pickup widget. Uh, Pickup widget again, 1920, 1018, and make sure it's 21 as such. Okay, and by default have it hidden in game. So when we are begin interaction, we will set hidden in game to be false and hidden set to true once we stop interacting with it, right? Mm, again, it's world, everything's fine. So let me debug this a bit. Okay, so this is okay. Seems to be an issue. Okay, so Okay. Wait, go to details, widget, pull it up. What's wrong? I can't see it now. No, that is weird. Okay, that's why. It's not rotated the correct way. That's why. See? Um, yeah. So for these, actually for the pickup items, not for the doors, for the best pickups, we can actually have it to the screen size. So what happens is they always showcase on the proper site also. They are rotated properly. Yeah. So uh, yeah. Now in the screen, uh, they can be way too bigger. So I'll make them smaller, 50-50. Yeah, that's much better. Also, um, yeah, by default, the widgets can be a bit annoying to place if you don't actually have. If you want to place them dynamically, it would be an issue. I can see that. So I'll add in a few things to make them spawn properly later on. But yeah, now if you interact with these, yeah, you can pick them up. This is fine. The door's working. If you open it from here, it's working again. And you can move the door like that. So let me fix that door as well. By direction. The collision is fine. It's probably us as the character because when we look below, the character moves out of the capsule over here, right? So that has to be one of the issues. You can move the mesh a bit back, but I think we will still have that issue nonetheless. Yeah. So to fix that, um, we'll actually have to do some kind of trace that wouldn't allow us to move our head more once we collide. Otherwise, I'll come back to that later on in the next future episodes. Okay. So thank you guys. That was the first part of the common UI. In the next part, we'll be continuing with the layering of different UIs, one top of the other. Okay. So thank you and see you in the next one.